Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has met with President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House. The meeting, held behind closed doors, comes barely 24 hours after the president asked all ministers, heads of agencies, ambassadors, and other political appointees with political ambition to resign on or before Monday, May 16th. The details of the meeting was not made public. When asked by newsmen what his reaction was to President's directive, Emefiele responded, quote, "There is no news now, but there will be news." CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele's reported comments after Thursday's visit to President Buhari seem to underline a disturbing aloofness and insensitivity to the public good of Nigeria's political class, even with a few months to a general election which may ultimately decide the immediate future of Africa's largest policy democracy, in quotes.
Policy analyst, writer, and good governance advocate Achike Chude joins us now to examine this development as well as the likely impact on governance and intra-party cohesion of the pressured resignation of aspirant members of the Buhari administration. Achike, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, looking at the kind of statements made by the CBN governor, of course, you've already heard it say Nigerians should go and have a heart attack. What does that say about the quality of individuals seeking political office in the forthcoming general elections, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, it was almost an unbelievable statement coming out from the CBN governor, and I had to make sure that it was true. So I had to go through the newspapers, and lo and behold, it was absolutely true. Of course, I don't know how to put my finger into it, whether it was a joke. If it's a joke, it was a most unpalatable and unwholesome joke, reckless, at the same time, not at this particular point in time or at any other time. Would you wish people to have a heart attack? And the implication for that, obviously, is, he's telling people you need to have some very serious, meditative medical conditions, or you die in the process, which is, but then again, it goes to the heart of the character and the nature of these, people that are in charge of the country, especially when you run an organization, like the central bank. One of the most important, and I've told people often that the position of the Central Bank of Nigeria is even much more prestigious and in a way more dignified than that of a president. You are urban, you are conservative in a way to a very large extent, and so much is expected of you. And I think it is fortunate, but again, it speaks volumes about the nature and character of the people that are in charge of this country. And like I said, if it is a joke, it's a very bizarre kind of joke, absolutely unwholesome and unpalatable, and it's unfortunate.
So I want to bring in President Muhammadu Buhari into this conversation, because we've heard that these aspirants are meeting with the president. We've heard that a couple of days ago that the president issued a directive for them to cease and desist, to leave their office by May 16th. But this seems like somewhat of a late intervention from the president. From your perspective, has Muhammadu Buhari done enough to get his own house, his own members of the APC, or his own appointees in order?
Well, obviously, it's a house that is not working in harmony or in sync with work from within. Obviously, that is why. Of course, that there has been a contention ever since the National Assembly sent the bill to him, the electoral bill, and then even when he signed it the second time he came to him, he did that with the hope that they were going to resolve the issue of Section 84, subsection 12 of the electoral bill that has to do with political appointees, and the courts have had to weigh in on it, and the people have been saying that if they should err on a note of caution, because obviously we know what happened in Zamfara State. The APC was not in the last election in 2019. As a result of this same kind of internal issues within the APC family, they were not able to present a candidate for the governorship of Zamfara State, and that went to the PDP. So people have said that regardless of what you think, what you feel, better to err on the side of caution, because ultimately at the end of the day, I mean, the Supreme Court has weighed in. I mean, the Court of Appeal, eventually it will be the position of the Supreme Court. So it's better they all resign. And some have heeded it immediately. Again, some are saying no, that like the Minister of Youth and Sports, Dada, has said no, he would prefer to see out his tenure. Then you have these other people, the governor of the CBN and all that. So obviously it is a house that is not exactly, acting in unison. But the president had said this. In fact, before the APC convention took place, he had feared that if they are not able to get their house in order, that they are going to make way for the opposition party, the PDP, to take over from them if they are not able to get their acts together. And I think that this is what we are seeing. It is clearly a house, divided. Even from the convention itself, when some people came on stage to say, look, that they did not agree to consensus candidacy. So if they are not careful, this situation, this disharmony, this division will continue to dog them and might prove an Achilles heel if they are not careful.
Now, some people believe that the president took this decision because it was becoming apparent that politics was competing with governance. So now that he has taken this decision, asking those that are seeking elective office to resign, what impact do you expect it to have on governance, especially as this current administration has just about a year left?
Well, I think it's the president's directive or the president's intervention in the whole issue is more about optics. It's not about an effective desire for governance. Look, the reality is that governance has gone through the back of the door, and it's very clear. Don't forget that controversial statement that Goodluck Jonathan made in his first term as a president, when he was seeking for a single term of 6 years. And the people were upset because they were thinking that it was all about a tenure elongation for himself. But he gave a reason. He said, look, it is better to make it 6 years for the purpose of good governance, because if it's a 4-year tenure, the politicians will only invest themselves in governance for the first 2 years. After the first 2 years, the next 2 years will be used for politicking. And that was why he needed to avoid that. And so this is exactly what we are seeing. So the issue of effective governance had stopped, a little before now, because the politicians, to the politicians, is, their political ambitions is much more important than the general ambition of the country. And so governance is suffering in the process. And that's why I said it is more or less for the optics. But the president has to also show that he's interested in governance by, first of all, immediately these politicians, these appointees are resign, then he had better begin the process of appointing new ones for the remaining few months that will be needed to take us to the election period. But if you're talking about effective governance, the political class right now is in election mode and not in governance mode. That is what is happening.
Well, Achike Chude, as you know, this 2023 general elections are very vital for the country. Everyone feels the heat and the need to salvage the country. And going back to statements like what we've seen from Godwin Emefiele, where he said, when asked about his presidential aspiration, there's no news, but there will be news. And paired with a statement, I would like to pair this next to what was said by the PDP National Publicity Secretary. He said the CBN is the custodian and keeper of all INEC-sensitive materials used in all elections. Having been confirmed as a member of the APC, Mr. Emefiele can no longer be trusted with INEC-sensitive materials, which are key to guaranteeing free, fair, and credible elections. Now, should he choose to run for president, even though he hasn't been clear, what do you make of this statement as regards that?
Well, he has already revealed himself. He has expose his political bias. Obviously, he's no longer partisan. He's an interested party in the continuity of this government that appointed him as governor of CBN and then also reappointed him as governor of the CBN. He's a card-carrying member of the APC. That is very clear, and I think it is surprising. And I think to tell you the gravity of his situation,
Mr. Chude, I'm going to have to stop you there. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're out of time.